having that humility aspect inside of your leadership has been huge. And it does. You walk side by side alongside confidence in
Yeah.
that leadership role.
Yep.
Those two really go hand in hand.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Behind the Franchise. As always, I'm your host, Paul Ehlinger, and I'm super excited today. We've got our guest, Beth Toenies, here on the show. Beth, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
Absolutely, absolutely. And for those of the audience that don't know you, if you could, tell us, what you do today, and maybe give us the quick background on how the heck you got there.
Sure. And it's quite a journey. So I'm Beth Toenies. I'm the Vice President of Franchise Development over at BELFOR Franchise Group, where we have 15 incredible franchise brands. Also, I'm the Chief Operating Officer for 1-800 Board Up. It's one of those brands, and we have 135 franchisees across North America, so US and Canada. And I've been in really a journey of operations and leadership. I kind of stumbled into it, honestly. My degree was in journalism and went that route. And then I realized there's a lot of issues going on inside businesses. And when I wrote down my 52 suggestions for one of my first bosses, he's like, Beth, I really think let me just hand this to you. Can you run it? Can you fix this? And so I found myself at age 26 being president of a company. And so ever since then, I've been really running with it and worked with just amazing people who believe in me.
I love that. And I got to call out, you were in the glasses industry for a while. You've got a great
Yes.
set of glasses. So clearly it shows. The experience is there.
Yeah, thank you. And good job wearing your glasses today, too.
Thank you. Thank you. I did it specifically for that.
Thank you.
I love that. And I think, one of the things I saw, you were just recently named like a top 100 shaker and mover. Like, absolutely. Congrats on that. That's really cool.
Thank you.
I think what have you kind of learned in your time at BELFOR? Like, what leadership skills have you gained, that's kind of led to being that, right? Because I feel like being a shaker and a mover to me is somebody who enacts change and creates positive movement, right? It's a hard thing to do, but that's how I read that. What have you kind of come across in your career there that, has led to that?
Well, and I'll tell you, BELFOR Franchise Group works closely with BELFOR Property Restoration. And between those two groups, you have some of the best leaders that are out there. One of them, Rusty Amarante, he's the president of the entire franchise group there. He says, follow the 3Ds. And it's like, okay, what are the 3Ds? And he do it, dump it, or delegate it. So those are, I always think that way. I've always been someone that gets stuff done, right? Like that's the kind of person that I am. But if you think about it in that way, don't sit there and create to-do lists that you can't get to or make in Asana. Here's the 1,000 things to get to. Prioritize, do it, delegate it, or dump it.
Yeah, I love that. It's the Eisenhower matrix, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely. It has been a game changer for me. I started doing that at the beginning of on Sunday. I'll sit down and be like, these are the big things I need to accomplish this week.
Yes.
Because I find, especially when you get into leadership roles, the amount of fires that pop up on a Monday morning is fascinating, right?
It's every day. You might have achieved everything at 10:01 and at 10:03 your world's upside down with some crisis, but it's all about how you handle it.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with that. And I think it's awesome being a part of a large organization like that. I have to imagine having so many brands and leaderships across the portfolio is a massive learning opportunity for you.
Oh my gosh, I have so enjoyed it. I've been in the restoration industry now for 11 years, and I've really enjoyed getting to know some of the other home service brands that are out there that really tie perfectly in with the restoration industry. It's been exciting.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I'm curious, I think you talk a lot about kind of emotional awareness and leading with that. I think you have to strike a balance as a leader sometimes, right? Like you've got to be empathetic, but you also have to make tough decisions. You've got to push the ball forward. How do you bring that to the folks on your team when you are kind of leading through tough decisions or strategy changes or whatever that may be?
Well, when I'm leading my team, I really try to do so with decisiveness, right? And intent on making those decisions, but also with the humility of knowing that my opinion might not be the best opinion. Sure. So if I have any doubt at all that I'm, under 99.9% right on this is the right direction, I'm going to go into it and openly tell my team, I'm not sure. I'd love to hear your ideas. And having that humility aspect inside of your leadership has been huge. And it does. You walk side by side alongside confidence in
Yeah.
that leadership role.
Yep.
Those two really go hand in hand. And that confidence level, that's your experience talking to you, your intuition. But
Yep.
that humility, that's what makes you a great leader and a team player,
Yeah.
because you are listening to others.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love that, because I also think, like, I'm a big proponent of you should always try to surround yourself with people that are better than you, right? And so
Absolutely.
it's all,
100%.
yeah, it's almost like, hey, I know I'm not the right person because you are the right person to make this decision sometimes, right?
Yes,
And like that's the best way to be a leader, is let other people lead sometimes.
absolutely. I love that too.
Yeah, I'm curious, because you did catch like a leadership role so early in your career.
I did.
I think everybody struggles with some form of imposter syndrome, right? Like I was talking
Yes,
to Adam Contos, who's like the ex CEO of Remax. He calls it like partying with the beast. Is how he approaches it. He's like treat the imposter as like one of your old friends. And Chris the CEO from Massage Lux was like, she faces it till she makes it. There's no faking it. You are
that's
facing the
right.
problem. How did you, from an early age, start really just attacking those imposter syndrome feelings that
Yeah.
I'm assuming you probably felt in some way?
Well, of course, especially 26 was president of this lens company and
Yeah.
on an international speaking tour because of it.
Mm.
And I was the youngest ever president of a lens company in the world. And
Yeah.
at that time, the only female one. So it
Yeah.
was definitely one of those, and it probably prepared me for this restoration field.
I was going to say,
Knowing that I'm
also a
not
very male dominated industry.
very,
Yeah.
yeah, very, very male dominated. And so it's a couple things, right? So knowing my own worth, knowing myself, and that confidence of I've got this. These are the parts I know. I've
Mhm.
studied, I've learned, I've listened, almost like an intern would have for the first,
Yeah.
first little bit of learning the role, and then surrounding yourself with others. You get a technical question I couldn't quite answer just yet. I would refer to one of my opticianry friends,
Sure.
or same in this industry, refer over to a certified restorer that I've worked
Mm.
well with and who I completely trust.
Yeah, I'm curious, like, how does that play out in your day to day, right? Like for me, I think whenever I'm feeling those things, I always try to think through like, hey, one of the values I like is like taking risks and like
Mhm.
taking difficult opportunities. And like whenever I feel that, I'm like, hey, it's a risk. I could be wrong, but that's what I like to do. And so that's how I kind of remind myself. What are your go tos?
Yeah, mine is I love doing puzzles. And so I
Yeah.
really think of my day, all the different pieces that go into it, and that confidence level or imposter syndrome coming in. It's some puzzle pieces and putting it
Oh,
together. I'm confident that these puzzle pieces fit together.
yeah.
These that I can't quite tell if this is an edge or, I can use some other resources to help guide me and help me figure out this puzzle. So that's really the analogy that I use as I'm going throughout my day and in my career.
Yeah, problems are opportunities, right?
Yes, yes.
For sure. And I'm curious, I think that has to apply to your day to day, right? Like, I think about your role currently in terms of Belfort. It's like leading franchise development across a lot of brands is a difficult job. There's different
Yes.
audiences, there's different people who could be franchisees, all that good stuff. How do you go about that? How do you go about, hey, making sure you have that high level view and then diving in where you need to?
Well, all in all, so there's a lot of ways that we scale at
Mm.
BELFOR Franchise Group. We use a couple programs I'm sure you've heard of, like Traction or EOS, and
Yeah.
there's some other scale like using SCIs, strategic change initiatives, and setting those up. So there's certainly ways that you organize it. But I'll tell you, this is the secret sauce behind BELFOR Franchise Group. It's the staff. Like
Yeah.
honestly, we have the best support systems that there are. So we have shared services.
Mm.
That's the beauty. We have the best of the best accounting teams, the
Yeah.
best of the best, estimator trainers, and it's absolutely amazing because those people are vetted and they've been there in those positions supporting other brands for years. However,
Yeah.
it still takes some experts in particular fields because
Sure.
all of our 15 brands are different. None of them are exactly alike.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
so that's the other beauty inside of it is BELFOR Franchise Group, they only hire the experts in their field to support those
The
particular
individual.
franchises.
Yeah.
So it's an absolute genius model. BELFOR Franchise Group has nailed it on the head, and they're
Yeah.
definitely leading the way that franchising is going for the future.
Yeah, what did that onboarding look like when you come in and it's like, okay, now I've got to get a hold of all these different brands and understand it. I'm assuming it was just a giant listening tour for you there at the beginning.
Yes, it was. And it's almost back to that like internship analogy,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah,
I walk in, I want to learn. And that's what I tell everyone, even those reporting to me, like
yeah,
I want to learn what you do. I am not
yeah.
the person that's going to come in the first 90 days
Yeah,
and
just like
shift
axe
things up. Like
everybody and say this is what
that's
we're gonna
right.
do. Yeah, yeah,
Never. That's not my style.
yeah,
I'm someone that comes in and learns. Now I might be making my list of
yeah.
here's
Sure, things that
13
need
things
to
I
happen.
want to change once I get my feet on the ground, but I'm going to vet those ideas and
Mhm.
ensure that those change pieces are appropriate. So for sure, learning from others is a huge portion. Not just reading marketing materials or listening to recordings. It's learning from the people that have been in the industry in that business.
Yeah, no, I love that, and I think it's such a unique thing when you start having these like platforms, right? I was just talking to the guy who runs Bricks Holdings, so another one where it's a platform in the restaurant space, right?
Yeah.
And he was really talking about how they don't really think about it as, hey, we service this and that. They think about it as like the entire customer life journey. Like, hey, for them it's all food, so they're like, you might wake up and you want to get a smoothie, and then oh, you actually might want to get a snack before you go to the gym, and so he kind of looks at it as the customer as, hey, we can own a lot of aspects of their day-to-day life. Do you think of the customer that way as well with like the Belfour brands?
We do, and that was really the goal: is to find ways that can help that consumer. Sometimes it's a business be
Yeah,
able to utilize multiple resources from Redbox plus dumpsters, right,
yeah,
to where they have porta potties attached to them, and we're thinking of different ways. And then that end user of refinishing your cabinets and finding ways to save you money. All
yeah.
in all, the mission is the exact same for each of these brands, and it's to make that personal property better. That day and the
Yeah.
next day, in the future than it was the day before.
Yeah, no, that makes a ton of sense. And I have to imagine as well, like your success comes down to your franchisees being successful, right? Um,
100%. Well, and staff, right? So
yeah,
if I don't have the employees who are really in it, get it,
yeah, bought in,
living
right?
it,
Yeah,
yes, then the franchisees, they're not going to be able to succeed. You might have those rogue 1 2 15, but
sure.
our FTDs, like our item 19s, they're strong. So
Yeah,
we have really solid franchisees, and I think that's a big testament to our employees too.
yeah, no, for sure. And what would you consider? I mean, obviously each brand has unique things they're looking for in a franchisee, but what's like the through line across all your brands? Like what makes a great Belfour franchisee?
So the best would probably be someone who's looking for a proven way to do things,
Mm,
right? So they've got that entrepreneur spirit, like I can figure this out.
yeah,
However, I want to listen to someone, and that's the whole concept behind a franchise, who's done this
yeah,
before, who's built it. And I'll tell you, so my husband's active duty Navy.
yeah,
So if he's been in 18 years. If he were to retire in 2 or 3 years, he would be a perfect fit for a
yeah.
franchise because he's so used to following the
He
discipline
acts on a
and get up
system.
and do
Yeah,
this and right. And it's just so it's really that personality trait of being willing to learn and learn from those who have experience and have been doing it really well, successfully proven.
yeah. How do you? I mean, inevitably, you're going to have franchisees who maybe veer the opposite direction a
We
little
do.
bit, right? It's a difficult conversation, but what advice can you give to somebody maybe that's early in a role like yours, right? That's like, hey, we just brought this person on, we thought they were great, and now they're just fighting every system we're trying to put into place.
Yeah, and that's really difficult because you don't want to spend, and I know that this is the Pareto principle, like you don't want to spend 80% of your time on those 20% of franchisees, right?
Yeah,
So you really want to spend opposite.
yeah,
You want to put the amount of time into those problem franchisees and spend the majority of your time with that 80% of your franchisees. So it's really
yeah,
watching that balance. As a young leader, especially young, not in age, but in maturity in the position,
yeah,
like
sure.
as a young leader, you want to be the problem solver, the person people come to solve the
Hmm.
problems, but you have to be careful to not be sucked into it and to appropriately apply boundaries so you can solve the things that need to be solved.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's just systems thinking, yeah,
Yeah.
where it's like you can't get stuck in the one-offs, and it's really easy to do, especially the smaller the brand is. It really is easy, but it's like, hey, this is the system for a reason. Here's the data to show why the system works.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm curious, since you've come on here, like what have you learned from individual brands that you've then applied at the greater system level, right? Like I imagine every day is a learning opportunity for each brand. They're hitting customers in different places. What have you adopted up from one of the brands to apply to the entire franchise group?
Well, I'll tell you, probably the easiest and biggest has been the Franchise Advisory Council.
Yeah.
And I can speak from the 1-800 Board Up side because we were acquired in July of 2022 by BELFOR Franchise Group, and
Yeah.
we did not have an FAC, the
Oh,
Franchise
interesting.
Advisory Council. We didn't. And so coming on, hearing Rusty and Tim Fagan and Sheldon Allen say you must have an FAC. This
Yeah.
is how the voice of your franchise brand is going to be guided. This is how we
Hmm.
do it at Bell for Franchise Group. It has changed the trajectory of us,
That's
of
awesome.
the 1-800 Board Up side. So
Yeah.
it's just that alone is huge. So
Hmm.
franchise brands, if you're listening and you don't yet have an FAC, definitely something very valuable. You can reach out to me. I have a bunch of suggestions for you too. That's a really good one.
What are top suggestions on how to implement an FAC effectively?
So it depends upon the number of franchisees. And I was actually on an operations roundtable earlier this week that was
Yeah.
talking about the same topic. So
I
it's
love that.
top of mind for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you have to, what we do is we really go by region. So we
Mm.
want those that are in the Northeast to kind
Geographically
of,
close enough to like meet in
that's
person.
that's right. That's
Yeah.
right. And probably sharing similar issues, right? Or hurricanes that come through, or
Sure. Yeah.
Texas is getting obliterated. So
Yeah.
it really creates a greater network because we
Yeah.
want our franchisees to learn from each other, not just us.
Yeah, no, it makes a ton of sense. I was talking to the franchisee for Alpha Graphics up in Chicago, and he was really, professing how their peer network groups are what they call them, but they would literally travel to each other's like
Mhm.
locations,
Yes.
and they would say they would get to interview each other's employees and all this great stuff. And he's like, it's fascinating how many things you can learn. Like even as much as he was like, we walked into one and he had his email on a sign on the desk, and I realized I probably spend 15 minutes a day finding business cards to give to people who want my email. And he was like, I just saved hours and hours a year just by walking into his place and seeing he has his email on a sign, right? And so I think it's all the way down to the simple stuff to accountability as well. When you're in a small group like that, it's everybody holds each other accountable more frequently.
Yeah, 100%. And sometimes, especially like in this franchise advisory council world, where there might be a problem franchisee, they may not want to listen to
Sure.
us on the
Yeah.
corporate side, right? They might not think, but they will listen to one of their peers
Yeah.
who perhaps has been in that franchise system 2 years longer than they have. So
Yeah.
it's a really great resource that you must leverage.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I imagine too, like specifically with like multi-brand franchisees, right, where they may be comfortable with how one system operates, and then
Yes.
you guys being kind of as profound and systemized and as big as you are, have a very probably unique way of operating, to you, and so they come in, they might feel certain ways about it, but then hearing, their peers in the state next door being like, hey, I'm a top 15% performer here, and it works for me to do the thing.
That's right. And
Yeah.
learning from each other that way is huge.
Yeah, it makes a big difference. When do you think, or is there a too soon to have a FAC? Like could you do it with 5 units? Could you do it with 50? Like when is the right time to implement one of these?
So my opinion is somewhere around 30 franchisees. Like
Hmm.
that's the appropriate number. I wish that our 1-800 Board Up side had done that when we were
Yeah, you're probably
that
looking
little.
back
Like
like think of all the opportunity.
I do, and I wish that we had done that at that point. And like I said, that's the beauty of BELFOR Franchise Group, and also of buying into a franchise group, not just
Yeah,
a singular brand, because you can leverage those resources, those things that um, before acquisition we had no
yeah, sure.
idea.
Yeah, no, it makes a ton of sense, and maybe pivoting a little bit back to some of our earlier conversation around kind of the human element and empathy within leadership and all of that. I think I'm obviously biased. I'm building an AI company. I think AI is coming. It's
Yep.
obviously really hyped up, but I think it is a fundamental change that's going to happen. And
Yep.
I think one of those things that's going to happen is there's going to be automation. There's going to be more workflow efficiencies that may or may not require as many people. In a world like that, how do you continue to give human insight and put the human at the forefront throughout this?
So there's many different ways. And first, I want to say I'm someone that's totally excited about AI. I
Yeah,
am all in. I'm not afraid of it, especially in the franchising world. There's always going to be that piece that needs the emotional intelligence touch. Like you have to.
Yep.
You're serving customers, like you're serving people, right?
It's people.
Not,
It's literally
yeah,
people. Yeah.
that's right. That's right. And so other people connect with people. It might be that initial lead that comes in from a chat bot, right? Or
Yeah.
the systems and processes. It's going to save you hours if you
It's a
start
massive
utilizing
efficiency
it.
gains.
That's right. And
Yeah.
that should be the focus of looking at how to utilize it, but not to be afraid that it's going to take over. Franchising, I promise, franchising is one of those that it's going to
It's
really
resilient.
catapult. Yes, it is. It's resilient. It's going to really catapult with the help of AI, not be replaced by AI.
Yeah, I fully agree. I think franchising, I'm actually like literally writing a book about this right now, but it's this idea that the franchising industry is like purpose built for AI because
Yes,
it is the same business in a bunch of different places. It's all this distributed data that you want to automate and drive efficiencies behind. I think it's just like the perfect place to implement it.
it is. And I'm going to take you down one example
Yeah,
that
please.
happened before you and I. So we kind of think, not sure of your age, but for me,
I'm
growing up,
33. I don't know if the
okay.
gray hairs make me look older, but
Okay, so we're both in the millennial stage here,
Yep.
and so when we were growing up, let's say one of our parents had a franchise, and I don't know what we could use, maybe like a Hobby Lobby, right, or
Sure,
a
yeah,
McDonald's,
yeah.
like one of those, right, or
Yeah.
Blockbuster, something like that.
Yeah, there
And
we go.
so if one of our parents had a business like that, they had a huge printed out operating manual.
Mm-hmm.
They had to do the receipts, scan the credit cards, and
Just
and it was
binders upon binders of
yes,
paper.
and that's right. And think of the efficiencies that the internet,
Yeah.
that online processing of credit cards, etc. Think of that. Yes, there's a 3% charge or whatever it might be in
Sure.
your area, but that's it. Think
Yeah.
that the kind of the same as long with AI. It was
Yeah.
able to really catapult all of the different businesses out there that jumped into it. Those that were resistant, you've seen a lot of them go out of business because they wanted to keep doing things. You come into my store. We're not
Right.
really having, refreshed websites, etc. So
Yeah.
those that embraced the internet, truly, it's an example of where I think AI is taking us for the next level.
Yeah, I fully agree. My favorite example is Sears, having the Sears catalog. That
Yes.
could have been Amazon. You know what I mean? It was like, it should have been Amazon.
Yeah.
And they just didn't move fast enough on it. And I'm curious, I think continuing down this thread, like franchise development is, it's interesting because it is so human based. And you're trying to select for these people who you want to be human leaders that operate with the values that you as the company have.
Yes.
What are the moments of truth for you when you're working with prospects or your teams are working with prospects that you're like, hey, we really want to identify these values in our potential franchisees?
So it's seeing their motivators. And I'll tell you the thing that makes BELFOR Franchise Group franchisees so much different than just the average is we value people before profit. That doesn't mean profit before people. So we get into this. We're in this a lot of the franchises here. Like we're in the emergency services restoration. Like you're dealing with someone who just had
they're having a very bad time in life.
a very, very bad day. And you're there to help, dry out their house and suck water out of their rugs and help get their lives back. And if you're only focused on money, you're going to give that person minimal help, minimal empathy. And that is not going to help you exceed or sell or increase your revenue. It's the opposite. So you have to have that right focused person who really wants to help others and make money while you're doing it.
Yeah, no, and I love that. I think it's so true. And I have a lived experience of this that we're going through right now. We had a soffit underneath one of our gutters, like break through and start leaking, right? And it's like annoying as heck. Like water damage is just a nightmare, right?
It is.
And going through multiple home services brands, it's like, you would think the one that's like the most local is going to be the most personable and all this stuff. But the one we had the best experience with, like, sent 2 automated text messages right away that we like, hey, we've got your appointment. They showed up right on time. They sent a reminder text an hour beforehand. Like you can weave technology and the human element together to make that, people before profit mission really work.
Absolutely. And it can. My parents just had a $40,000 water loss at their house. So similar. They called in and used one of our franchise brands, and I was able to kind of see from their eyes. They have a different last name than I do. Kind of see through their eyes.
A little like secret shopper.
Yeah, it did feel like secret shopping. And it was really incredible to see as they went through the process, not just updates, but
Yeah.
that human touch and element, how they're there to calm them down through this disaster. They're very shaken,
Yeah.
and it was incredible to see firsthand.
Yeah, I mean, it has to make your job easier to wake up for on a Monday morning, right? When you're just like, hey, we're guiding people through this in a meaningful way.
That's right. And in just a random market, it
Yeah.
definitely is amazing.
Yeah, I love that. I'm curious. So, like, identifying the motivation, I think it's brilliant. I think it makes a ton of sense because if, like, hey, I'm just here, I want to make 32%, never even think about the business, like,
Hmm.
boring, boring. How do you kind of cut through the BS? Because I think some people are really great salesmen, right? They can kind of convince you of one thing or the other. Like, do you have any like specific strategies you're using or questions, that you're trying to dive into to really get to the crux of what their motivation is?
We do, and sometimes it as crazy as this is, like because we're sitting here on a podcast talking virtually,
Sure.
it's off of the digital communication. So you're
Yeah.
sitting with them at dinner. You can read their manners. It's
Oh
that
yeah.
in-person validation, the meet the team day, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's even getting that other opinion. Let them talk to other validation calls, right? Is that's what
Hmm.
we refer to it as. Let them talk with other franchisees
Yeah.
and see what they pull out of it too. Don't
Yeah.
just, and that's something that BELFOR Franchise Group, we turned down. Wanting to board up also, like we've turned down more franchises than we've sold. And
Yeah. That's
it's
cool.
all about selecting the right ones that are the right cultural fit.
Yeah.
Like I said, people first.
Yeah.
That's a big emphasis for us.
I would love to see that data someday of acceptance rate versus like per unit profitability on like
Yeah,
franchise brands.
I would love
It
to see
has
that
to
too.
play. It's got to play, right? Like I
Yes,
think so.
me too. We need to create an automation to really survey that.
I
That
was
would be
gonna
cool.
say I don't know who would give us the data, but because if the data looks bad, they're like, I don't want to be included anymore.
That's right. Then they're like, we accept 100% of people that make it through our process. Like, you really have to ensure that it's going to be the right fit. Otherwise, they're going to be in your 20% of your hard to manage. It's going to
Right.
suck your time.
You're just signing up for more work in the future, right?
Yes.
Like that's all you're
Yes.
doing. I love that. And I'm another question. I'm curious because I think we come from very different backgrounds. So I was an engineer by training. You were in journalism, so like communications, narrative, storytelling. I look at that and I think that was a trait I had to like really build in myself to become a leader. Right. I'm curious. Like obviously it was native to you as something you were passionate about. That's why you went to college for it. But like how have you leveraged that and how would you recommend people like me who like I spent 4 years working in a research lab to start to build those talents and those abilities?
I think becoming more comfortable with it and not something like with me here now. I'm not reading a script. I'm not
Yeah.
reading 1,000 notes. I'm just talking and engaging because it's what I believe in. And I
Yeah.
think you probably have to become very comfortable with first know what it is you believe in, what drives you, know your customer base,
I love it.
and
Yeah.
then you're able to conversate. And that's the
Yeah.
thing too with emails, right? You have to be really careful in text messages, emails, things like that, that if there's any type of miscommunication, pick up the phone.
Yeah.
It's not just that little emoji you can insert into your email to magically fix, a misunderstanding. It's very
Yeah.
easy. So I would say that's something that I've really learned is you're relating to people. Insert your personality into the conversation.
Yeah.
Talk with a little bit of humor. Add that to your email, and we're people relating to each other. So just kind of getting comfortable with that, just conversating.
Yeah, 100%. People want to buy from people, right?
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, that's what it is.
Yes.
Um, and I firmly believe, I think that might be, we both share a non-millennial trait that is like, sometimes I'll
For
get an
sure.
email and I'm like, I have no idea what this person means. Like I'm reading this 10
I know.
different ways.
I
Like
know.
I'll get in my car, I'll drive and I'll make my 10 phone calls I need to make. And I'm like, this is way easier.
Definitely. And even now, like think of LinkedIn where every day you open your inbox and there's 20 sponsored
Oh,
messages.
yeah.
And so looking through that, that's not connecting authentically
Yeah.
the way that again, non-millennial trait, a way that business I think should. So that's something that I've really leveraged.
Yeah, no, I love that, and I'm curious for this question because I think you're clearly a very ambitious, motivated person. It feels like you can always feel when people are really outcome oriented versus like values driven. I genuinely feel like talking to you, it's like
100%.
you're driven by within. You're not necessarily driven by the outcome. Where do you think this will lead you? Like, what do you want to be 10 years from now? Like, what are you trying to get to? That's a weird question, but I'm sitting here talking to you. I'm curious.
Sure, sure. And my bosses have asked me the very similar question.
Sure.
And
Yeah. They're like career development planning. Yeah.
right, right. I'm really looking to launch up, continue my trajectory here with BELFOR Franchise Group and BELFOR Property Restoration. There's
Mhm.
so much opportunity inside of it.
Yeah.
I'm going to
That's
stay
awesome.
here within this brand, this industry. I am really excited to someday become one of the bosses.
Yeah.
That's down the line. It's up to me, not up to
Yeah.
them. It's up to me. So
Yeah.
I'm the one that has to learn and get ready for it.
No, I love that answer. And that's exciting. I love when people are just passionate about what they're doing and they've got a place to do it. I think it's just
Yes.
meaningful that way. Bridging into the last part of the show, we always do some quick hitters. The idea is just, give your quick response Rorschach style.
Okay,
How does that sound?
let's do it.
What is the most misunderstood part of franchise development?
Ooh, a franchise development. I would say that you must go through a broker.
Yeah.
That's the most misunderstood right there.
Yeah. Um, Tech or trend you think is overhyped right now? And you can
Hmm.
say AI. Sometimes guests, when I ask this question, get all nervous because we've got AI in our name, but you can say AI.
No, I would probably say utilizing a program to draft your emails, they become
Mm,
so stale. So it's a
yeah,
piece of AI, right? But it's just how you use it. So
yeah,
don't ask them to write your first draft. Like you can ask ChatGPT to
yeah.
rewrite it and make it sound more professional or add personality in there. But
Hmm.
you have to draft your own things, use original ideas. So
Yeah,
that's what I would
yeah.
say.
Love that. Best piece of career advice you've received?
Hmm. I think learning to adapt,
Mm,
that's different and very notable from just change.
yeah,
So adapting isn't, I'm told to do this, here I go. I'm going this way.
yeah,
Adapting is you're moving your course to that change and it makes you change centric
yeah.
and an agent of it. So that the learning to adapt and not just resist, right? Because you have those people that very resistant to change, that's fine too. But you need
Yeah.
to learn that leadership trait of adapting. It's very critical to business.
Yeah, building off of this, not a part of the quick hitters, but it makes me think. Like, I think you're a very decisive, change-driven person. I feel that way
Yes,
as well. The larger your organization gets, the slower the change happens. How do
yes.
you deal with that? Because I'm sure that's got to be frustrating as heck at times for you.
Yeah, it definitely is frustrating. And so you just learn to do what's within your control.
Mm.
And if you can make 90% of the decisions, then that's what you focus on and put your energy into that. You don't focus on the bitterness that you can't make that
Sure.
10%, right? And
Yeah,
it's every single company, it is every single company. There's someone above you, even when you're the CEO, there's a board
you
of
got the
directors.
board. Yep.
There's always others that are going to be making decisions. So it's learning to do that adaptation, even if the answer is no to
Yeah,
what you strongly believe. Okay, you adapt, and you have to
yeah,
look at it like that. Frame your mind that it's not just rejection, and it's a stepping stone. Okay, now let me learn
yeah. We
why
learned
they
one way
said
not
this.
to do it, right?
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. What's something you've changed your mind about recently?
I think when I was younger and going through different leadership roles,
Mm.
I thought that senior leaders have all the answers, right? And they never, like I did. I thought that
Yeah.
the
They're
CEO of
so
our company,
experienced. They've done
right,
this for years.
right.
Yeah.
And now, the last 10, 15 years as a leader in various companies, people are looking to me for it. And I am not the one that came right out of high school and became a carpenter and knew how
Right.
to directly cut plywood and put it on buildings. And so I'm not that person in many different regards. And so it's learning that leaders do not have all the answers. And that goes back to a very critical leadership skill of listening,
Yeah, 100%.
realizing that you don't have those answers. Leaders, we have to listen to others.
You'll kill yourself if you try to have every answer. It's
Oh man,
impossible.
you're going to be wrong too. Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah, all the time. I
Yeah.
think I've always considered leadership like a you're the one that's willing to take the risk and make the like less the decision off of the least amount of information,
Yes.
and then you're also the one that's willing to go out there and find people better and smarter than you to
Yes.
help you make better decisions. Like that's what I think
Definitely.
leadership is in a whole.
Definitely.
And then a last one. What's something most people don't know about you?
Ooh. Something most people don't know about me, I played collegiate tennis. So
Oh, like
that's something.
This was
That's
predetermined. Wait, did you know your husband in college?
that I did not, and that's what all of my teammates said when they heard us. Well, that's why you chose him, was because of the last name. I promise it was not.
I really love
However,
tennis.
yeah, I love it so much. I wanted to, yeah, no,
Marion.
but that definitely, that competitiveness of being a college athlete, that's something that
I
has
think
always
people who
been in
grew
me.
up playing athletics and like
Oh yeah,
involved in athletics, like it just gives you skills that are useful. You can work in a team. You want to
yes,
win for the sake of winning. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like,
100%.
yeah, I love that. Well, this has been an awesome, awesome interview. Thank you for taking the time. I think a lot to learn from here. Like, I love like the emotional empathy and leadership. I think it's a massive skill to have, especially and I've been thinking about this as I feel like I'm getting older. Like, generational leadership is really weird because like
Yeah.
people are fundamentally different than you, and I think
Yes,
learning how to lead with empathy is massive in that development.
very important.
Yeah, absolutely. And I always like to, at the end, give you a minute. The stage is yours. Where should people find you? What should they be looking for from you? What should they be looking for from BELFOR? All that good stuff.
Sure. Well, I highly suggest you guys follow BELFOR Franchise Group. Also, happy to connect with you on LinkedIn, Beth Toenies, and I'm always posting some content that's leadership centered, also about that emotional intelligence piece. But you'll see the one thing about BELFOR Franchise Group is there's such a wide variety inside similar industries
Yeah.
that's the really cool concept about us is you don't have to come in thinking I'm gonna open a brand of Kim Dry because this
Yeah.
is what I know. Our franchise development team, like they're here to help you make sure what's the right fit. So in some ways, we work alongside like brokers, and
Yeah.
that's a really cool piece about BELFOR Franchise Group.
Yeah, I love that. Well, you heard it there, guys. Go check out her LinkedIn page. I will agree. You put out great content. It's a good follow, so I would definitely support that and check out more about BELFOR. But thank you again for your time today. We really appreciate you being on the show, Beth.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. And for everybody else, thank you for listening to another episode of Behind the Franchise, and we hope you have you on the next one. Talk to you later.